Evening to all of you this evening, and it's just so good to be able to talk to you from the sort of comfort of our homes. It's a very civilized way of doing business these days. And I just firstly want to congratulate you all for the courage you've shown in joining the network marketing industry. And also for not only joining the industry, but choosing NeoLife as your partner, because that takes courage. Talking about courage, I go back to the 8th of July 1974, when my dear wife Nola and I took the same decision. It was a difficult decision in those days. Working from home 48 years ago wasn't a cool thing to do. Okay. And, during that time, the industry had no credibility. I'll never forget saying to the guy who showed me the business, "How much money can you make?" And he said, "Well, plenty of money." I said, "Well, who's doing it?" And he said, "Well, you might be the first." So I said, "Thank you. Well, let's try it." So, it was so different then to what it is today. But with hindsight, I can confidently say to you that the decision we took then was by far the best financial decision we've ever taken. It changed our life radically in many, many ways. You might say, well, why is making a decision, and today is the same thing, why is making a decision to join a network marketing company so difficult? Well, I believe that we all live in a very pessimistic world. I don't recall anyone ever coming up to me in the beginning and saying, "Hey, that's a good decision. You're going to make a fortune." That didn't happen. Okay, it just didn't happen. So on the contrary, I think everyone, including our family, did everything they could to discourage us. Now, I don't know if you're experiencing or have experienced the same thing, but that's often the way it starts. I so clearly recall my dear father, in all of his wisdom, saying to me, "Son, why don't you go out and get a proper job? How about that?" So, well, I had just left a proper job. I had resigned. I was in the color film processing industry. I was running a laboratory in those days. In those days, we still had big laboratories. And I was in that industry. And I left that corporate world totally disillusioned. And so, I didn't want to go out and find a proper job because I didn't believe there was such a thing. So over time, and I think the same might happen for you, our greatest motivation came from going out to prove all of those critics wrong. I don't know whether that's a negative motivation, but that's certainly the way that motivated us in the beginning. So that got us going. In life, we have a choice, or we have choices. You can either choose to be an optimistic person, or you can choose to be a pessimist. Now, it's easy to be a pessimist. In fact, the majority of people are pessimistic about things. But the unfortunate part about being pessimistic is that most of them end up negative and broke. So I'm going to suggest your starting point tonight is to choose to be an optimist. Okay, choose. Because optimistic people become the winners in life. So that's a starting point for you in your NeoLife business. Become an optimist. I want to just give you, and Drew already ran through a number of reasons why it's good to be part of NeoLife. I'm just going to touch on a few too, which just to endorse what he's already said. Firstly, to be an optimist, to be optimistic about NeoLife, what's a couple of good reasons? Firstly, you start the business and it's a risk-free business. And in this day and age, that's pretty rare. Okay. Second, you have all the ingredients in your business. You have the best of products. You have the best of a compensation plan. You have the best of a business system to fit into. You have tremendous support. And in fact, you have a company that has stood the test of time. That's quite remote or rare in this day and age. You have a company that has got great values. It has been in business for over 62 years. And so it is a very solid foundation to join. So, also along with that, you inherit a sponsor and an upline. Now, your sponsor, his entire task is to make you as successful as he can be. He cannot make you successful. The success comes from you. His job is just to support you in every way And it's so positive to have someone who really, truly cares for your success, because your success in the end becomes his success. So you've got a positive upline and sponsor there. Now, the second reason that I believe you should join NeoLife, and that's basically why we joined. We were sick and tired of mediocrity. We wanted more out of life financially. And so there's literally no salary or income ceiling to this opportunity. The potential is great. What do I mean by that? If you take a profession, let's say take a lawyer. A lawyer is a person, he can only bill so many hours per day because he's only got so many hours available. Take a doctor, he can only see so many patients a day. So although they have good incomes, they have a ceiling to that income. Okay. And that's important to understand. Now, in our business, you can recruit an unlimited number of people. There's no ceiling on that at all. And those people can do the same as you've done. They can recruit an unlimited number of people. So over time, ultimately, and I say over time, I stress over time, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistency. But over time, you will ultimately get paid on the efforts of literally thousands of people. So you're working far smarter than harder. So, it's a very good idea to make sure that you realize that recruiting is important. And remember, a healthy business starts at the top. So you have to set the example for the recruiting that takes place in your business. If you can just catch the vision of what a big team, you go out and get 10 people. If they went out and got 10 people, this duplication process creates a massive structure that you get a benefit on ultimately. Okay, the third reason to be optimistic about NeoLife is the freedom of time and the freedom of travel. Those two things, nothing in life equals or comes up to the joy of spending quality time with people you love, your family, people you love. Or there's so much joy in being able to take your family to Disney World, or take your family sailing in Australia, or go to the Bahamas. These are things, okay, we haven't been doing these things for the last year, but that will change. That will definitely come back. And NeoLife, if you join NeoLife, the first thing you must do is go out and get a valid passport. Make sure you are equipped to go traveling, because as you progress in this business, you're going to have the opportunity of worldwide travel. And that to me is precious. It's a wonderful, wonderful, quality time is the most precious commodity on earth. The fourth reason I believe is important to be part of NeoLife, there's no need for stress in NeoLife. Yes, we have times when you're a little stressed as far as month end and PV are concerned. Those things come up, but compare that stress level to normal conventional business, where they have salaries to meet, they have rentals to pay, they have risks to run, they've got stock to keep, they've got huge sums of capital and overdrafts involved in the business. That is stressful. We don't have anything like that. So there's no need to stress in your life. You work from home, you don't pay salaries other than yourself. The company does all of that in the compensation plan. You have so many reasons. I know people, and so many people actually die from stress-related jobs. One of the motivating factors for Nola and I in the beginning was her dad. Here is a very competent man. He was an accountant. He was in the bank for many years. He then went into hospital services. And he's being totally dedicated and diligent, worked systematically for many, many years. And he and his dear wife planned their retirement in detail. The unfortunate part of the story is he died from a brain tumor 5 months before retirement, which was stress induced. So, there's no need to stress. So to me, that makes NeoLife a wonderful, wonderful way of making a living. The fifth reason, there's a story that you can move from a 40-year plan and move to a 4-year plan. What do I mean by that? The majority of people spend approximately 40 years of their life working as hard as they know how, and unfortunately end up broke. That's what happens to the majority of people. Now, what I'm going to suggest in NeoLife is invest time, energy, and focus in the next 4 years. Establish that foundation. Build wide and build deep. The width will give profit, the depth will give stability. So invest those 4 years, and once you've done that, you will establish a solid income base for yourself and your family. And then obviously you've got to nurture it and look after it, but that could set up a fortune for your family in the future. I recently came across a little powerful word, which I found, it's actually a Hebrew word, which I found quite interesting. I love the many words. What do we mean by that? Okay, I'm just going to move on to, sorry, I have lost my path a little here, but sorry, let's go on to a number, the last thing we've got here. Sorry, I must move on to here. Okay, sorry about that. I lost my track of thought here, but the little Hebrew word I spoke about here was the word Shema, S-H-E-M-A. Now, if you translate the word Shema, it means this: to hear, to heed, and to do. Or if you want to dig into it a little deeper, it means to listen, to pay attention, and to respond with action. It's a wonderful word. And I was just thinking how that word, that one single word, really sums up our activity in the whole business. Because, we so often speak about the 3 daily success habits that you've got to work on. And if you hear and you heed and you do them, ultimately your business will come through. What are those 3 habits? We always talk about them. Use the products, because in fact, I'm going to suggest that you change your buying habits and become your own best customer. That is fundamentally important fundamental to your business success. Because only through personal experience will you develop a story. Now, that story could be a story on product. That story could be a story on income. It could be a story on personal development. It could be a story of travel or any of the benefits. But you need to develop that story, okay? And it comes through personal use of the product. Why is that important? It's important because your story matters. Your story is important. There's nothing more powerful than an authentic story, because an authentic story moves people towards a better life. And that's what it's all about. A simple story can become the tipping point or the turning point in someone else's life. So your story has so much importance attached to it. Our business is in fact a business of stories, or a business of testimonies. These testimonies call action. So it's so important that you change your buying habits and start developing your belief and understanding in the business. So if you think you can build this business without changing your buying habits, you're going to have to think again. It's not going to work. So become your own best customer. That's the starting point. The second daily habit is share the products and opportunity. This activity actually begins the duplication process. This is what, in time, will take you out of the 60 to 80 hour week that so many people are stressed and working away their life. Okay, so that is important for you. Right, so let's just go on from here. I will find my way around here. Yes, we are, right. Personal development is the third activity that we are suggesting you do. And that is a never-ending process. And it simply means take hold of what you've got, what you've been given, the opportunity of NeoLife, and go out and perfect it. Get as good as you can. Go pro with this business. Okay, so the beautiful thing about that is, because the work you do today can be inherited and can serve your family for generations to come. And that's not only happening in my family, it's happened to us. It's happened to many people I know in the NeoLife world. So this is a very real part of our business. So I think I'm going to just give you a quick little checklist of things that you can do to start your month off right. The first thing I'm going to suggest you do is, are your goals up to date? You need to have clearly defined goals. It's so vitally important, because if you've got a goal, you can make a plan. If you've got a plan, you can take the action. And if you take the action, you'll have a result. But if you don't have a goal, nothing else fits into place. So you've got to get your goals clearly defined, not only yours, but your team's. And this is where you sit down and draw up an organization chart and work out who can do what in your team. How can you help them to move to the next level and take a step up? Number two, are you continually getting people involved in your business? Are you getting new customers, new members, new distributors? This is a very important skill to develop. If it's not working, you've got to look at two things. Firstly, you've got to look at your skill level or your belief level. You've got to work on those two elements. So work on it and identify those two things. Number three, are you keeping people involved that you get started? You know, so often you can't afford to lose valuable people. They are important to your business, and it's important that you keep them involved. What causes people to drift away from the business? There's a couple of things that I'm just going to mention briefly, which you can look into. It could be a poor culture. It could be failure to change buying habits. It could be poor financial management, okay, or just pure lack of commitment and direction, or lack of shema, for want of a better word, okay. So number four, are you the kind of person that people want to be with? That's quite an interesting question, okay. And that's something that, you know, none of us are perfect. It's something we all constantly have to work on, that personal development and growth. And there's four things there: character, competence, chemistry, and consistency. Those are the things you work on to make sure that you are the sort of person people want to be with. The fifth thing is, are you willing to pay the price of success? Nothing of value in life is easy. And, you know, in our many, many years in the business, so often we could have quit. We came so close to quitting so regularly. And, you know, that would have been the worst thing we could have ever done. It's the worst thing that you could ever do, because that's the only way to fail, is to stop. Quitting is the only way you can fail. And, you know, so often people have a few difficulties, and what do? They quit, and they go and try and find some other get rich quick scheme. There's no such thing, okay? The problem is they go off, find something else, but they take themselves with them, and that's the same result again and again. So those are a couple of things that you might look into. So look around you. Don't worry about your critics. Don't worry about what people are going to say about the business, whether it's going to work for you or not. You have the ability to change people's lives through this incredible business. And I just know that you've got all the support, all the backing that you could ever have to succeed. And I just encourage you to go out and take hold of this opportunity seriously. Give it all you've got. And I just want to thank the company for all they've done for us and our family and our team. We have a wonderful team, and we just love and thank each and every one of them for their great loyalty and effort over the years. I want to thank NeoLife for its great support. Particularly, I want to thank Drew and his team, and for the great job they're doing in making our lives so much easier. And I want to thank the Lord, because if it was not for him, we wouldn't have achieved anything within this business. So I encourage you to just go out, take this business seriously, and go out and change your entire future for yourself and your generations to come. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you.